The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the people's platform.
Aloha, my name is Chef Ippy Aiona. I'm a Big Island raised, born and raised chef. I have a couple restaurants out in Waimea, but my most proud and current project we're doing is my new cookbook, Growing Up Hapa. So Growing Up Hapa is a deeply personal book that I've wanted to write as long as I could remember. Hapa in Hawaiian means, half Hawaiian, half something else. So my dad is a native Hawaiian and my mom is an Italian from New York. I grew up in the restaurant business. I'm a lifer. So my dad had a plate lunch restaurant called the Kamuela Deli in Waimea. It was one of the OG plate lunch spots. And my mom had an Italian restaurant called Salamini's. I went to a French culinary school and opened up a gastropub and a Hawaiian plate lunch restaurant. So this book is basically my story, my life in the culinary industry. Each chapter focuses on a different restaurant. So we have my mom's Italian restaurant, stories and recipes, my dad's Hawaiian restaurant, my gastropub, and my plate lunch spot. So this book is more than just recipes. It's stories, culture, and tradition of my life through all of it. I've started in the restaurant business when I was about in the 3rd grade when my dad took over the Kamuela Deli. This is what I love to do, and this is a way that I would be able to share my passion and love with all of you guys. I'm gonna read you guys an excerpt out of Growing Up Hapa. I'm gonna start with the About This Cookbook section, give you guys an idea of why I wrote this cookbook. Okay, about this cookbook. This cookbook isn't your typical collection of recipes, divided into categories like beef or sides. Instead, it's a deeply personal compilation of my life through food. Each chapter is a tribute to a different restaurant that I or my family have owned, and each one played a pivotal role in shaping my culinary journey. You might notice chapters dedicated to Italian cuisine, followed by those celebrating Hawaiian flavors, and even a gastropub influence. It may seem like an unusual mix at first, but this is who I am. Growing up Hapa with an Italian-American mother, a Hawaiian father, and a formal education from a French culinary school has been a journey blending vastly different cultural influences into one cohesive identity. It's not easy to reconcile these diverse culinary worlds, especially when they are so distinct from one another. However, I've come to realize that they are all part of me. Once I accepted that, my cooking and my perspective as a chef began to take shape clear and true. Each chapter in this book is like a window into my world, offering a taste of my mixed heritage and a diverse culinary tradition that have inspired me. These recipes are much more than just food. They're a reflection of who I am, where I've been, and the lessons I've learned along the way. The dishes you'll find here are deeply meaningful to me. They come from a place of passion, love, and the journey of embracing multiple cultural identities. I want to take a moment to thank you in advance for sharing in these stories and recipes. They hold great significance in my life, and I'm honored to invite you into my world. I believe that life is a journey, one shaped by our childhood, our experiences, and the values we inherit. The person I am today is a direct reflection of the values instilled in me by my family and the restaurants I grew up in. Growing Up Hapa is more than just a cookbook, it's an odyssey. It's a celebration of the flavors, traditions, and lessons that have defined my culinary career. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to share this part of my life with you, and I hope these recipes inspire you to embrace your own unique journey, whatever that may be. All right, the next section I'm gonna read is the Kamuela Deli section. This was my dad's Hawaiian plate lunch spot and the story of the first night that we actually purchased it, and it's called The Night It All Began. I still remember that night with startling clarity, the night that changed the trajectory of my life forever. I was 10 years old, sitting in the back of my parents' old Dodge Caravan a few weeks out from Christmas. Rain drummed steadily on the roof and cold, damp air seeped through the car windows as the heater struggled to keep up. Outside, the fog settled heavily over Waimea. thickening the quiet streets of our hometown on the Big Island of Hawaii. My dad was in the driver's seat, my mom beside him, and my big brother slouched next to me in the back, staring out at the rainy night. At that point, Dad managed a small plate lunch restaurant, a tiny spot in town known mostly to locals, while Mom handled its accounting. The restaurant was owned by a slim, reserved Chinese man named Albert Liang, who'd run the place for as long as I could remember. Money was always tight, and nights like this, crowded together in our old van, were about as close as we got to a family night out. As I sat restlessly, tapping my fingers on the armrest, my parents turned toward us, their face lit with expressions I didn't quite understand. Dad looked excited. But there was something else there too, maybe a shadow of worry. Finally, he spoke, his voice wavering just a bit. "We have a surprise for you guys," he said, glancing over at my mom before going on. "It's big, and it means we won't be getting a lot of Christmas gift this year for you two." Because Mom and I just got a loan to buy the Kamuela Deli. The words settled slowly, and my brother and I stared, our mouths open, trying to wrap our minds around what this meant. To anyone else, the Kamuela Deli was just a tiny, unassuming hole-in-the-wall spot on the main road, a place people went to grab a quick plate lunch and move on. But to me, that place was magic. We only ate there on special occasions, basically whenever Dad could get a discount. In my mind, it was something like a world-renowned restaurant, the kind where I imagine famous chefs started their careers. Dad grinned, his eyes catching ours in the rearview mirror, and asked, "Want to go inside and eat?" I'm going to read you the next section from Growing Up Hapa called The Three Fat Pigs, which was my gastropub. And this is a perfect example of how sometimes your dreams are only achieved while going through a nightmare. So this is called The Three Fat Pigs, Perfect Imperfections. We all know the saying, "When it rains, it pours," and this was never more accurate as it was on the opening day of The Three Fat Pigs. Our goals and dreams always seem nice and tidy, floating around in our subconscious minds, but sometimes those dreams can turn into nightmares. That is what it felt like to me on opening night as the Waikoloa moon shone bright through the dining room windows. This story starts off like every other, with our main character walking blindly into issue after issue until everything is resolved and the arc turns back down to a happily ever after. The night started off as most of my opening nights. I was expecting a few issues, but the excitement and anticipation of success suppressed my nerves. This was the Big Island's first ever gastropub, and I was young and ambitious. So my menu had a mix of classic dishes with modern molecular gastronomy techniques. Think foams, spherifications, emulsions, etc. I would say I was excited, but that would be the wrong word. Nauseous would be more accurate. I was prepared though, this being the second restaurant I opened and the fourth that my family had opened. I was expecting the bumps. Everything started off great. I had an experienced sous chef, an eager kitchen crew, and a fantastic front crew, albeit a little green. We already made it through the soft opening, so the major kinks were worked out, but on opening night, you should always expect the unexpected. We were fully booked and our reservations were at capacity. I created the menu to have quicker pickup times. There were close to about 100 seats in the restaurant. It was 2 stories with a large mural over the open kitchen of 3 fat pigs in the art style of Beatrice Potter. I contracted it to fit the whimsical theme of the restaurant. The upstairs bar and lounge was named the Thirsty Wolf Lounge and offered a bar snack menu and intricate yet borderline pretentious drink menu. The space was beautiful, open, and modern. The first few orders went out status quo, the wheels seemed to be turning and the machine that is a restaurant was rolling along as planned. About halfway through the dinner service, my sous chef approached me and told me that he was gonna head home. I told him that it was only 8 p.m. and he said that he was too old to stay late at night. I knew I would have to let him go. With no sous chef and myself expediting, we were still on the right path, but the path had gotten a bit bumpy. While I was calling out orders and directing my food runner to tables with trays of food, my bartender approached me. He said that the floor drain behind the bar was starting to back up and water mixed with dirt and grease was coming up. We stuffed a few towels into the floor drain, hoping this quick fix was gonna hold until the plumber could come the next day. A bad decision in the long run, but hindsight is 20/20. The shopping center we were in was old, and it's fair to say that the plumbing needed some work. The problem had a band-aid on it when what it really needed was stitches. I started to panic a bit, as I knew the smell would soon follow this greasy water. And we still had a couple hours of service left to get through. As we cooked our way through the next few orders, the floor drain in the back of the kitchen started to overflow as well. It was at this point I knew we had to cut off walk-ins and just finish the last of our customers with reservations. That is when one of my green servers walked up to me on the line and said, "Chef, the food critic for Honolulu Magazine is here and wants to know what to recommend for dessert." My eyes got wide and I bit my bottom lip, trying to keep myself from screaming. I asked the server why they didn't inform me when the food critic first came in, and they said they just got too busy. This is when it all hit me like a freight train. I dropped to a squat so that the customers couldn't see me and started to feel the pressure building up. Now, I'm a lifer, someone who has been in the restaurant industry their whole lives, so I'm used to solving problems under pressure. But these problems were out of my control. I walked outside and my wife saw me from her post at the hostess stand and helped to calm me down. This is the part of the dream when you're falling, and you either wake up before you hit the ground or you fly. I chose to fly. I went back in, picked out our best dessert, took it to the food critic, and with the best charm I could muster, explained to her my concept and inspiration for the restaurant. She must have been understanding because I didn't get any questions about the smell that was now wafting into the dining room. She thanked me and left, and we proceeded to close out the restaurant and customers and clear the dining room. Lessons in life are only learned through failure. If you don't experience problems, you will never know how to solve them. The review came out and it was not at all what I expected. The food critic praised the creativity and concept. It also helped me grow as a chef. At only 23 years old, I learned that if you don't go with the flow, you will drown. Like all the restaurants we opened, I laced up my steel-toed non-slip shoes the next day and went in ready to fix the problems and face the new ones. I am forever grateful to the Three Fat Pigs as it truly helped me grow as a chef and restaurateur. I learned there that you are not cooking for yourself, but for your target demographic. And if you allow your ego to get in the way, you will ultimately fail. It has been 13 years since the opening night, and the vivid lessons have stuck with me to this day. I love that restaurant and the food we put out. Although I had some ups and downs, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I am so grateful to my family. Without them, I would never have made it as far as I have. The Three Fat Pigs might not be here today, but everything that transpired has turned me into the chef I am, and for that, I am ever grateful. So for me personally, I'm a huge reader, a big advocate, and I believe that everybody should start reading at a young age. The reason that reading is so important, especially when you're young, is reading helps you to see things and create images in your mind. Now, in this day and age, we have a serious problem with people's attention spans. Nobody can concentrate for more than 15 seconds, and it seems like this is because of what we're consuming on a daily basis. When you read, you need to have patience, silence. You have to be willing to engage in the journey. And that takes some concentration, and it takes a little bit of time. So in this day and age, with everybody having such a short attention span, reading is so important to teach you that putting in the work will end up giving you a great outcome, just like a good book. My name is Chef Ippy Aiona. Thank you so much for diving in and going on this journey with me on growing up Hapa. Now my advice to all of you is pick up a book, read it, and get into it. And thank you for joining us on Island Storybook.
Special mahalo to those in our community who support literacy here on Hawaii Island. Naleo TV wants to encourage reading and writing in an ever-changing digital world. Reading is a fundamental skill that opens up a world of knowledge, imagination, and personal growth. Mahalo for tuning in to this episode of Island Storybook. Check out our website, naleo.tv, for more videos on demand, and get ready for the next story we find.